My second favorite thing about our week up north was the inaugural lake jump. By the time we reached the cabin, after another 45 minutes in the car from Minocqua, we'd be itching for a chance to cool off. That's why Alex and I always wore our swimsuits underneath our clothes for the drive. As soon as the car crunched to a stop at the edge of the gravel driveway, under the shade of my favorite tamarack tree, we would hop out. We'd peel off our t-shirts and shorts, pull off our sneakers, and then race across the yard, down the footpath, and onto the pier. My mom would chase behind us with a can of tick repellent, but we never slowed down enough for her to spray us. We'd start counting to 3 on the raised slat that's halfway down the pier, and then we would clasp hands. At the end, we'd raise our linked arms and leap, landing with a huge splash in the deliciously cool water. Blinking my eyes open after surfacing, I'd get my first real view of the cabin, perched above us on the gently sloping hill and surrounded by trees. My heart would swell with happiness. Then Alex and I would climb out and run back up for thick towels, and to actually help lug everything inside. Perhaps after the donut awkwardness, I should have dialed down my expectations for this year's lake jump. Maybe, I thought, Alex's crankiness was just about the food, which, aside from the donuts, is not the finest. My dad's scrambled eggs are way better, and the sausage links can be a little rubbery. At least they used to be. I haven't had one since I became a vegetarian in 5th grade. But nobody expects haute cuisine up north, the land of supper clubs. Old school food is part of the charm. Anyway, why wouldn't Alex still love the tradition of jumping off the pier? Her car had led the way from breakfast, so they were parked and Lucy had already stepped out to stretch by the time ours came to a stop. Hurry, hurry, hurry. I urged Nolan and Mateo, whose seats I had to fold down in order to escape the way back. I nudged past them and their mess of action figures and activity books, then hopped onto the gravel, squinting at the bright midday sun. The tamarac's branches seemed to wave hello. Scents of pine and cedar enveloped me. I felt better than I had in weeks, better since the morning Alex had left for her camp. We were at Buttercup Lake, finally. Just us, no Laura in sight. I pulled my t-shirt over my head and adjusted the straps of my swimsuit into place. It was from last year, because I wasn't doing swim team this summer. Mom hadn't wanted to spend money for a new suit. My old turquoise one fit mostly fine, anyway. Time for the lake jump? Mom smiled at me, reaching her arms overhead and rolling her neck, easing away the kinks from the drive. Should I ready the tick spray? Oh yeah. The tie on my drawstring shorts was refusing to unknot. I glanced toward the Benavides' car. Come on, Alex. Thanks to her head start, she should have been down to bare feet already. Finally, the knot came loose, and my shorts dropped to the ground. I bent to unlace my sneakers. I was shoeless before Alex even got out. I shifted from one foot to the other. The sun-baked gravel was sharp and hot. Normally, I didn't stand on it long enough to notice. What are you waiting for? Maybe it was the lumberjack breakfast making my stomach hurt a little. Maybe it was something else. A hearty serving of worry, garnished with a dollop of anger. Alex clutched her phone in her hand. Sorry, I want to go in and hook up to the Wi-Fi first. She paused, then added in a half-hearted tone, maybe a swim later? Alex shrugged, like even she thought that was doubtful, and then she turned to follow my dad up the walkway to the cabin. A cloud passed over the sun at that exact moment, but even if it hadn't, I still would have felt the chill. Asterisk 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 by the time we got to my third favorite thing, I'd begun to manage my expectations. For dinner the first night of the trip, our dads cooked everything. They grilled, usually fish for all the parents, hot dogs for Mateo, regular burgers for Nolan and Alex, and veggie burgers for me and Lucy, who joined me in vegetarianism once she got her part-time job at the zoo. After dinner, we built a fire in the fire pit to roast marshmallows. Alex's mom always got out her guitar, and we all sang campfire songs and ate s'mores until we could burst. It's a scene as perfect as a car commercial on TV, but it's real. Alex sat next to me on the wooden picnic bench, but there was so much space between us you almost could have squeezed Nolan in there. Or Tampoco, the Benavides family cat, who Lucy named the Spanish word for any either because he's so contrary. Alex picked at her burger but gobbled about 7 pickle slices. Which was weird. You sure you got enough to eat, Alex? her dad asked while gathering all the Esmore's stuff. Yeah. Her head tucked toward her chin, so her voice was slightly muffled. It was because she had her phone on her lap, below the table. It was lighting up with notifications, as frequent as the fireflies drifting through the trees and yard. Sorry, the burger was a little overcooked, my dad said. Am I going to have to give up my title of grill master? He was joking, but there was a hint of seriousness in his voice, like he really felt bad if she hadn't enjoyed her food. It was great, but I don't think the buns were organic. Ow. Alex interrupted herself with a loud slap on her forearm. She got the mosquito, but too late, a smear of blood spread across her bare skin. This is why up north, you wear long sleeves after dusk. Layers are your friend. No matter how hot and sunny the day got, I always carried around my sweatshirt. These mosquitoes are so ridiculous. I can't take it anymore. She hopped up from the table, swatting around herself as she moved for the patio door. I'm going inside. You don't want to more? My voice had that strained, tinny quality to it again, like when I get called on to answer a question in class and everyone is suddenly listening and my public speaking nerves kick in. I want to not be eaten alive. Alex paused. I guess you could bring one in for me. Then she slipped inside. Through the sliding door, I could see her curled up on the couch in the darkness, her face illuminated by her phone. Whatever she was looking at on it made her smile. Perhaps for the first time all day. Okay, I said quietly, even though she was already gone and couldn't hear me. When I glanced back up at our families, everyone was acting totally normal, but I could sense that they were avoiding eye contact with me again. It's fine. Every single time we've had a fight, we've got 10 over it. This is just a particularly bad fight. Licky the time I accidental ly spoy led the ending of the Westing game. It took weeks or Alex to stop THESI lent treatment after that, even though I apologized to me ion and 1 times. The thing was, though, we hadn't actually been fighting. Since registration, we'd had no contact till this morning. And if anyone should be giving the silent treatment or waiting for an apology, it should have been me. I made a truly perfect s'more for Alex. It could have won an award. I put the chocolate square on the graham cracker near the fire, where it would warm and soften the chocolate so it hovered between being a liquid and a solid. I think the science term is colloid. I roasted the marshmallow low and slow, so that it grew fatter and fatter but didn't crumple and blacken on any sides. When it was about to ooze off the stick from its own weight, I pulled it away and plopped it on the cracker, quickly pressing the top piece down. The gooey marshmallow and jelly-like chocolate immediately melded. I placed the s'more on a napkin and crossed the patio while cradling it in my palms. Maybe, once she tasted it, I could lure Alex back outside. To where we were all sitting around the fire, laughing and singing, licking sticky traces of marshmallow off our fingers. Yes, I had probably 6 new mosquito bites despite the repellent, the citronella candles, and my long pants. But if they were the price, it was well worth paying. Hey, I said as I let myself into the living room, careful not to let out Tampoco, who strictly stays inside the cabin, to keep all the Northwoods songbirds safe. I stood awkwardly next to the couch. I wasn't really sure what to say. It felt like approaching a stranger. Which is an awful way to feel around your best friend. If she was still truly that. Hey. She yawned and glanced warily at me. Alex seemed as uncomfortable being alone together as I was. I made you a s'more. I held it out for her. Thanks. She took it but just set it on the coffee table. I wanted to tell her she should eat it right away, while it was still warm from the fire, that it was better that way. But after the donuts. It's really nice out there, I said. The stars are so pretty. I wonder if you can see Sirius. In 6th grade, I did my tag, Talented and Gifted, project on constellations. I remember almost all of them. Sirius, the dog star, is part of the constellation Canis Major. It's also where we get the phrase the dog days of summer, because ancient astronomers noticed its rising with the sun marked the hottest days of the year. Summer isn't the best time to see Sirius at night, but it is the brightest star, and the Northwoods sky is always so dark. I could show you? Maybe another time. I'm kind of tired. I glanced out the window at the silhouettes of our families enjoying the glow of the fire pit. I longed to be out there, but not without Alex. I'd stay inside the whole week if that's what it took for things with her to be right side up again. If I let myself actually think about how weird things had gotten between us, I felt sick. I'm tired too. Should we go up to bed? We've always shared the airy, the nickname for the sleeping loft that is the very top triangle of the A of the cabin's frame. The airy is a small space, at the edges, even a kid can't stand up straight, and there's only room for a full-size mattress on the floor. But it's cozy, and it's always been ours. Someday we'll outgrow it, and then Nolan and Mateo will inherit it. Until then, each summer we've scratched our names and the year into the wooden beams of the ceiling, along with a single word or phrase that encapsulates what that week was like. One year, it was F-Ox, when we found an orphaned baby fox underneath the patio and fed it with an eyedropper. Another year, endless rain, when 5 of the 6 days we had to spend inside playing cards and looking up random dictionary and encyclopedia entries because the weather was so bad. I wondered what this summer's word would be. So far, I could suggest awkward. Alex looked up at me. Her expression was hard to read. Actually, I'm going to bunk with Lucy, I think. Her eyes darted away from mine. The airy is kinda claustrophobic. Like being in a tomb or something. Oh. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes, and I willed myself not to let them slide out and roll down my cheeks. I didn't want her to see. Well, good night, I guess. There was a telltale throatiness to my voice, so Alex must have known I was upset, but she only said a distracted good night as I hurried to the stairs, snatching my bag from the luggage pile still untouched by the landing. Up in the airy, I dove onto the mattress. My mom had put on clean sheets, which I knew because I buried my face in them, and as I cried silently, because the cabin's walls are thin, I could smell fabric softener instead of musty cabin dust. A window facing the lake takes up one whole wall, and eventually I raised my head to look out at the first night festivities below, still going strong. Mateo and Nolan were running around the yard catching fireflies. The fire's embers glowed. Everyone was smiling. Watching all that golden-lit happiness below me only made me feel worse. I unzipped my bag to pull out my favorite sweatshirt. Not just because it gets cold up in the area at night, but because my sweatshirt is super comforting. I wear it whenever I'm nervous or sad. I fell asleep before putting it on, hugging it to my chest like a security blanket. Babyish, maybe. That's probably what Alex would think. But, after all, I was alone. There was no one else to see.